All right. Welcome to Backyard Sessions, and we have the privilege today to sit down and talk to Mike Martin, who is the founder of an awesome merch company here in the Chicagoland area in Evanston, Illinois. And Mike has stopped by the studio today to talk about all the things that Anchorfish has cooking, a little bit about his story and how he started his company, and kind of the different things that Anchorfish is doing for the community and how they're making an impact in the community, and just some of the services they have. And just again, wanted to thank you, man, for coming by.
Of course, man. No, thank you for having me in.
Yeah. And we met, Mike and I actually met at the Fort Knox 2112 barbecue.
Yep.
And you guys were activating a screen printing.
Yep. A live screen print activation.
Yeah.
Printing some shirts on site there for everybody.
Yeah. So you guys do a lot of those.
Yeah. The bulk of the business is, of course, is in-house production, but the stuff that's really fun is being able to go on site and print some shirts,
Sure.
live in front of people. They get to see the magic.
Yeah. And we obviously were, it was a kind of a Fort Knox activation, and both of us shared our different passions within the industry and the music that we're interested in, and just kind of keeping it lighthearted, just curious about you and what your music interest and just your live experience.
Yeah.
So what was the first concert that Mike went to? Who paid for the ticket? Did you go? Was somebody bring you, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think, of course, my first concert I went to was something my parents took me to.
Sure.
I grew up in South Texas, Corpus Christi, right on the water, and there's a naval air base there, and in the summers they would have music festivals, and honestly, I want to say my first concert that I went to was a Willie Nelson, probably Waylon Jennings, one of those festivals where they were headlining.
Wow.
I want to say Waylon Jennings came out on a motorcycle.
No way.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You don't forget something like that.
Yeah. And, I mean, I was young. I had to be probably 7, 8 years old.
Wow.
It was like wrapped into this big air show where they would have all the Army helicopters and planes and carnival and all sorts of stuff. My dad was a helicopter parts inspector for the Army, and he worked on the naval base, so we were always going to different events there.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How they just reimagined that space.
Sitting out on a lawn chair watching Willie Nelson and
wow,
Waylon Jennings go at it.
That's so cool, man. Wow. Yeah, I don't know if anybody heard this, but he said that his first concert was, how old were you?
Probably 7, 8 years old.
Okay, parents, get your kids acclimated to live music young, I think is the you beat me by I think 9 years. So you said first, that's a pretty memorable.
Yeah.
Wow. I had the opportunity to see Willie at where was that at? That was at a festival. I think it was at summer camp. Okay. I saw Willie, but not too long ago.
Yeah.
And he battled.
He's still going, man.
He battled, man. Wow. How about you mentioned the first concert. So when you became a fan, so I think a lot about fandom being doing kind of what you do for a living and creating merch.
Yeah.
What was the first band or piece of merch that you bought?
It was much later. As a kid, you're kind of finding your footing in music, and it's largely influenced by your parents. So growing up, again, small town Texas, it was a lot of country music in the 80s and the 90s. I was getting older, finding my own path, and fell down into punk music mainly. I remember I was probably 13 years old, and I was taking taekwondo lessons, which was a big thing in the 80s and 90s. And there was this older kid there, long hair. His name was Danny, and he was a guitar player for a metal band called Mad Taxi.
Cool name.
And he gave me a flyer to go see his band play, and it was a tribute to dead Kennedys on Valentine's Day in Corpus. And I was like, oh, a tribute to dead Kennedys. Like, this is a crazy name. So I started looking down that and got into early punk from that. And then probably my 14th birthday, this is a long story to get there.
Yeah.
My 14th birthday, we were going to see, me and a couple friends were going to see the re-release of Star Wars in the movie theater before they did the new movies. And a friend of mine was in the car, and he had a tape, and he goes, hey, can I put this tape on? My brother made it for me. And I was like, okay. And he's like, it's got a song about killing babies and raping mothers on it. Is that something that, like... And I was like, well, my mom probably won't know, so we put it in, and it was the Misfits. Changed my life from that moment on. And my first merch that was important to me was when Misfits got back together in 97. They did a tour. So it had to be 97, 98. I saw them play with Michael Graves. And it was, I still have the shirt to this day, and it's the Die Die My Darling front, and on the back it says 20 Years of Terror, 1977 to 1997.
Wow.
And I remember at the time buying it and being like, oh man, this is so old, it's 20 years, like I wish I had like an old shirt from like when they were original.
Wow.
But now I'm like, 97, that was 30 years ago.
Don't remind us.
Yeah.
But oh man, my brother Tony was big into the punk scene, and he had a few of their pieces of merch as well. So he's going to be excited to hear that story.
Still have the shirt. I've looked at it. Like I break it. I won't wear it anymore, but I break it out and I look at it. I'm like, this is good print for that back then, man.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have Photoshop just separating things.
Yeah. I think a lot about Rockbilla. The magazine?
Yeah.
Isn't that where you could get stuff too?
I don't know. Yeah.
It's like a magazine for like band merch.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think it still exists.
Probably not.
Yeah. But you could go on there and it could be, you could find any Dead Kennedy shirt, or you could find any NoFX, headband, whatever. And it was just like this. I just remember the catalog back in the late 90s.
I remember buying merch from catalogs, and you would have to fill out the order form, put your money in the envelope, and send it off. Yeah. And just hope you got something back.
Oh my gosh.
And it was, sometimes you get a shirt and it'd be a completely different color, or there'd be a note, we ran out of this shirt design, but we have one that's close to it, so we sent that to you instead.
Wow. 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 Do you remember sitting in line at JCPenney's at Ticketmaster?
I remember going to Ticketmaster. I remember buying tickets at Sam Goody and Tower Records. Things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was, where were you at in the late 90s?
In the 90s, Corpus Christi, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. And then after Corpus Christi.
Crispy. It's warm down there.
It does get crispy. Extra crispy. That you made a pivot after Texas, and
so right when I graduated high school, I grew up on the Gulf Coast there, so I grew up surfing. Horrible surf. It's the armpit of surfing in probably the surfing world. But I worked at a surf shop. I was sponsored. Was competing. And met a guy who was a national sales manager for a surf company. And he was like, if you're ever out in California, look me up. Graduated high school, packed up my car, moved out to California. And I remember calling him up and being like, hey, Barry, you said to look me up if I'm ever out in California. And he's like, oh, cool, when are you going to be out? And I'm like, I'm down the street from you right now.
Wow.
And to his credit, he helped me find my first apartment out there. And I moved out to California to try to be a surfer and work in the surf industry. That's what I wanted to do. I was like, I'm going to work in the surf industry. I don't care what I'm doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's what you thought you were going to do with your life.
Yep.
And the journey began. So that was 2005, right?
Yep. 2001. That was around then. Worked in the surf industry for a couple years, different jobs. And then I was the operation manager for a surf company. And right next door to it, a screen printing shop moved in. And at the time, I was doing a little bit of stenciling, and I was trying to paint. I'm terrible. I have zero painting talent skills, and but I was really trying at the time. And a screen printing shop moved in next door, and I was watching them make the screens, and I was like, this is like stenciling, and this is kind of like painting. You know, you're using inks. And out on my lunch breaks, I'd hang out and watch them. And then it was, you know, as I watched them more and became friends, I was like, hey, can I like help you guys out? You know, just to learn the process. And then it was, hey, I want to make some shirts on the side of a project or something. Can I do it on the weekends? And then eventually, you know, friends found out that I was doing it, that were in bands, and they needed merch. And then it was, hey, can I like work for you guys on weekends and then use your shop after hours? And then eventually it got to the point with, you know, when I started the business, that I was doing it, I was renting their shop after hours. And I remember one day telling them like, hey, is there any way I could like print during the day too? And that's when they were like, whoa, man, like you got to open up your own shop now. So they pushed me over the edge. That was time for me to spread my wings and fly.
Wow. And when you were in that process, what was the problem that you were trying to solve?
I mean, I think it's like with anybody who starts a business, you know, it's you see a need and you fill it.
Yeah.
You know, I had a lot of friends that were in small punk and hardcore bands, that they would play, you know, a couple shows and they didn't need 100, 250 shirts. A lot of the print shops at the time had these really high minimums. And it's always beneficial for a smaller band like that. They can't commit to paying that much money for some shirts that might not sell. They want to do 36 shirts. So, you know, my friends would say, hey, we got a show coming up next week. Can you make us 36 shirts of this design? Sure, why not? I'd make the shirts, you know, they'd be able to sell them, recoup their money pretty quickly, and then for the next show they would have another design. So they were constantly cycling through designs to keep it fresh for people, you know, their fans and people who were buying their merch. That way they could sell they could sell multiple shirts to the same person. You know, one of the bands, Graf Orlock, they were like cinema grind. So all their music was based off of movies, and I think all their lyrics were dialogue from movies. But all their shirts were movie based. So the very first shirt I printed for them was like a zombie Hans Gruber from Die Hard.
Okay.
And but those dudes were a merch machine, you know, for a small band like that. They were able to tour the world, sustain themselves just mainly on merch sales.
Wow.
You know,
that's incredible.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Wow.
You know, being able for them to have that avenue, and if they were going to a larger production place at the time, they would have said, oh, instead of doing 36 shirts, you have to do 100. Well, for them, that's 3 different designs they could have broken that 100 shirts up into.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Wow.
So it worked out great. It was you know, right place, right time with things like that.
Wow. And so you might have answered the next question, just of the idea of why your process versus like embroidery, instead of staying in kind of like this operations and logistics, like kind of vertical. Was it that specific kind of like aha in that like moment with them that you were like, this is the thing.
Getting to work with bands and tattoo artists that I was fans of, and people I wanted to get tattooed by. I mean, that's the dream, right? Working in a community that you love and care about.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what made me step away from the surf industry. The surf industry felt really kind of corporate at that time. And this was kind of getting back to that like community vibe of the bands that I was printing shirts for. I had their records. The guys that I was printing shirts for, tattoo artists, I had tattoos from them. So it was there was a connection there. But I mean, as much as it's merch making, you know, owning a merch company like that is as much an artistic endeavor as it is an operations and logistics endeavor. You know, I'm making the shirts, but the real thing I'm doing is I'm making sure this band is going to have these shirts by this date at this city on tour.
Sure.
And that's all logistical.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. In the journey, obviously, it's no no paved highways all the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
For sure.
there's forks in the road, or there's
Hmm.
a boulder, or there's a patch of ice that you might skid on. So was there ever a time where you were like, maybe this might not work?
I don't know. I don't know if I ever thought that. I think it was. I never went to business school. I never went to college. I barely graduated high school. So I didn't have that business knowledge to be like, oh, this is a poor business decision. It was just put your head down, work, keep working, keep working. That might be a bad idea. I got to push through it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I ever had time to think, oh, this might not work out. I was too busy trying to figure out, you know, how many shirts I needed to print this week to pay rent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great mindset.
Yeah.
It's a great mindset. And when did Anchorfish go from like the we were talking like 2005, but when it was like, okay, this is the thing, right? Where it was like, not there wasn't a doubt in your mind of turning back
Yeah.
to something and doing it as a passion, but it was like, okay, this is my full-time thing.
Probably a year or two in.
Okay.
You know, yeah, I think when you're starting, your network is so small.
Right.
That I was printing mainly for bands and tattoo artists in Orange County, and then after time it starts to grow, and yeah, I'd say by 2007, 2008, we were printing merch for bands all over the country. And it wouldn't just be if they were coming through the area. It was, I mean, those bands in that scene, they want to support their own, right?
Yeah.
So hardcore bands in Boston were like, hey, like all our friends use this guy, like let's use him too. He knows us, he gets us, you know, he knows what we need. And I think that word of mouth probably took off around that time to the point where I was like, okay, like I'm doing stuff for people all over the country, doing stuff for international bands when they come into tour, like, all right, I'm feeling a little secure here now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so you are obviously not in California anymore. There was a point where you said, okay, California,
Yeah.
I see an opportunity. So you're obviously in Evanston, Illinois now.
Yeah.
So what catapulted the move to the freezer over here right now in Chicago,
Like
right?
any good story, man.
Yeah,
Love.
okay, all right.
Yeah. No, my wife, she was teaching at the university out here, and when we were talking about next steps, it was kind of, oh, well, it's easier to move a print shop across the country than it is to find teaching positions at universities. Like those are a little bit harder to nail down,
Right.
So we brought the business out here in 6 years ago now. 6 years in February.
Wow. Just kind of taking a pivot to culture, and going back to the music. So why has music always been at the center of what you do?
Because I went to that concert when I was 8 years old, man.
Boom.
I mean, anybody who's involved with music knows that it's an escape, right? It's takes you somewhere else. And even if it doesn't take you somewhere else, it says it gives you feelings, right? And it tells you, hey, you're not the only one who's feeling like this, And as kind of like a angry little 13-year-old kid finding punk rock, I was like, oh, here's how I can be angry and there's other people who are frustrated like me.
Sure.
And I'm not alone. And that was and it changed my life. Music has shaped the way I think about things. It has shaped the way I live my life, the way I raise my kids. It's influenced all of that. It influences decisions every single day. So, I mean, yeah, that's It's even though I'm not a musician, I don't have a musical bone in my body. It's shaped who I am.
Yeah. You and me both. I appreciate it, and I can consume it, and I can help. But, so you're in Chicago. Music is shaping the company, and it's on the forefront of kind of what you're doing. You get to Chicago from the West Coast, and you're integrating yourself into a new climate and also a new culture. So what Chicago venue kind of shaped your taste in the venue experience in Chicago? Was there one specific one that stood out, or maybe even a best show that you saw?
My favorite place to see shows at it is Beat Kitchen.
Okay.
I mean, that it's small, it's intimate. You know, I've seen a couple like bands play there, and like it just I love being in that tight, close, proximity to the band.
Wow. We had somebody, a friend of mine in here, she's an artist. She said the same thing. Beat Kitchen was her favorite venue in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool spot. It's kind of hidden.
Yeah.
Right, a little bit.
You got to know.
You got to know where it's at, but I agree with you. It's business in the front, party in the back, right?
Yeah,
So.
But I mean, there's other great ones. You know, Cobra Lounge is great. Reggie's, like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Reggie's has got like the double venue, right?
Yep.
And Cobra, I think I've seen a couple showcases there.
Yeah.
Some punk showcases
They do that big hardcore festival, the Rumble, and they take over that back parking lot, and that's
okay.
That's fun.
I haven't been.
That's a
dipped
fun
my toe
time.
into that one.
Yeah.
It just you could think that you know the business and you've been everywhere, and then someone comes in and says, "No, there's this other thing in the parking lot that's there." I'm like, really? Wow, that's great. And then, just maybe since you've kind of intertwined, you mentioned the first experience of how the band mashed up movies and their artistic vision. Was there a band merch outside of that, or maybe it was that made you say like, holy crap, like this is done right? Was there one specific thing that you were like?
I don't think there is one specific. I mean, you see great merch printed all the time,
Sure.
right? I mean, I see stuff all the time that I'm like, damn, man, like those guys are good, you know. But and then even our production team, I'll see stuff that comes out, and I'm like, yeah, we nailed that. That looks good, man.
Yeah.
I got a great production team. They're doing some really cool stuff. But yeah, there's great print shops. There, on the West Coast, there's Icon and Overcast. I think they just changed their name recently. Out here, I mean, you got Culture Studio. Those guys, I mean, they're like the gold standard for major. I mean, they do Taylor Swift and all those guys. I mean, they got their stuff pretty on point.
Okay.
I just love seeing good prints.
Shirts, I'm assuming, is like the number one.
Yeah.
Right. Is there a magic equation, right, that you've experienced in your time that is certain percent, like this is what we recommend in terms of shirts? You guys do other stuff other than just shirts, right?
Yeah, of course.
So you got to have a hoodie, you got to have a long sleeve, you got to have a mug, you got to have.
Yeah.
So what do you guys have? Kind of like is there like what would be number two? What would be number two behind a shirt?
Probably hoodies.
Okay.
And then after that, hats.
Okay.
Yeah, those tend to be the top three things that we do. And tote bags, I always push tote bags. I don't know why. I think they're, anytime we do an event, I'm like, oh, you guys should do a tote bag. And they never do well.
Yeah.
And finally, I've had to like throttle myself and be like, no, man, just because you think a tote bag would be a great add-on, not everybody else thinks that.
Those are great for trade shows.
Yeah, they are.
When you can stuff shit inside the bag,
when you
right?
need to stuff in them, that's when they come in great. But when you're seeing a band play and you're like, I carry a tote bag around.
Yeah, it's more like maybe a drawstring bag.
I
don't know.
I
don't know.
And it's funny, some things come in and they get like the cool factor all of a sudden that you're like, what? That's cool now?
Yeah.
Like for years it was like the flex fit hat, and then it went to the snapback hat, right? And it was like the flat brim snapback, and like you couldn't get
trucker.
We could not sell enough of those. And then a couple years ago, it switched over to the bucket hat. And I'm like, I used to make fun of kids that wore bucket hats. And like, now this is the cool thing, crazy.
Yeah.
And then it switched over to the dad hats. And the dad hats were like king. And right now, they're still, dad hats are still our number one hat that we're selling. But
What's a dad hat?
It's just that like unstructured hat that kind of has the buckle in the back.
Oh, yeah.
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 You know, it sits really low on the head.
I know a few dads that wear the dad hat.
Yeah. So that's been, I mean, that one we're selling all day now, and I think it's slowly changing out of that. Maybe, you know, they're kind of doing variations of it. Like we just did a corduroy dad hat, or a checkerboard dad hat, and those are starting to pick up steam too. I think people are diversifying the dad hat a little bit.
Wow, I find this just fascinating because of all the things that you guys do, and you know, obviously it's artist merch, but you guys participate in different types of events, and like going from the dad hat, like you're talking about a male that's probably 30 years or older, right?
Yeah.
Maybe even older than that.
Yeah.
Right, fitting that vertical. What about what's like a hot item for female merch? Is it a differently designed shirt or cut off? Or
yeah, they were. You know, last season, crop shirts were real big. Crop shirts and baby dolls.
Baby what?
Baby doll tees.
Oh.
So like the cap sleeve, and it's really tight and kind of like cuts off.
Okay.
Yeah. Those, and what's funny is like those were big in the '90s. I remember.
Yeah.
And like they came back this summer.
30 years later.
Yep.
35 years later.
Those were really hot, but now it's pivoting into like the oversized stuff. So we get a lot of people, you know, through the fall and have been asking for that oversized streetwear kind of vibe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So just as you're in discussion with different bands, right, and they say, hey, you know, I need help funding my tour, and we know that the merch is an unlock to do that. How do you help bands think beyond the shirt? I think was kind of the layup, and what might be, again, you mentioned the hoodie and some other things. Are there some things that maybe an artist might not be thinking of that is hot on the trail that you see like a new resurgence or outside of the bagginess? And
yeah, I think as weird as it is, like unique promo things have really been taking off lately. Being able to have a piece of merch that somebody else, the band that's coming through next week, isn't going to have. There's a local band called Sparkle Carcass. They're like a country.
Another great name.
Yeah,
another
and it's a
great name.
Country band.
Love it. Love it.
They did the fold out hand fans.
Yeah.
We did some of those for them. Super unique. I hadn't had another band ever ask for that.
Like
Yep.
Wow.
You know. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys can do those.
Yeah, we can do those.
Wow.
We did some of those. We've had different bands. I mean, what are some of the more unique things? We've done coins. You know, like the metal coins.
Yeah.
Where and it's almost like an AA chip kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was their band, and like you can only get it if you saw them live, and that's like
at that specific show, or was it just more
it was,
like
I think
a
it was
tour?
More for like a tour thing, you know,
Okay,
and it was
all right.
like a tour coin, and like you know, so it sets it a little bit apart.
Collectible.
Yeah.
You have your favorite band's tour coin every year.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can put that in a frame,
and
your wife can't get pissed at you, right? For collecting merch,
having too many
hey, look,
shirts. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that. I mean, shoot, years ago, one of the coolest pieces of merch that I saw was this band called The Locusts from San Diego. They had, I want to say it was like a compact mirror with their logo on it, but I think they sold it as like a Coke mirror.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah, but it's just like
a,
setting yourself apart. It's doing something, a piece of merch that other people aren't ever gonna like.
Yeah.
The average band isn't gonna come up with.
Yeah.
We've been doing some like cut and sew unique pieces, where it's like a custom varsity jacket with like fully embroidered back, big chenille patch on the front, and then like the lining is all specific. Like a lot of their album art is all the lining. Cool things like that
Wow.
like are really unique pieces.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like how in basketball they have like the jersey cards and trading cards, right?
Yep.
Almost, right? How you take a piece of that and you
Yeah.
kind of reimagine it. But have you guys do jerseys too? Have you ever
Yeah,
done
we
a
do
jersey?
jerseys. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we work with a lot of like local sports teams. When you get into like the pro teams and college teams, it's a whole licensing thing that it's a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah.
We've gone down that path, and it's
tough.
It's not worth it, man.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I haven't spent my entire career in the music industry, but I came over from the brand industry, and I think about sign of the times right now of how if you have a shirt that you mashed up with a band, isn't that free advertising for your logo?
Yeah, I mean, you would think so.
It's free promotion.
I think the corporate companies are so worried about their imaging and stuff, and
yeah, that is definitely fair.
But we would do stuff for bands. Band Rotting Out, we did a Santa Cruz Skateboards, the Screaming Hand logo, and we got a cease and desist from Santa Cruz Skateboards. They're like, all right, cool, let's move on to the next design. We'll do the next a mock of something else.
But what about like the street vendors, right? I think about that guy that sits at like Waveland and Sheffield that's got the cart that's got all the bootleg shirts, right? He's just making a couple bucks too, right? Like and he has a permit to be selling that stuff, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah. It's not like the companies are chasing them down, right?
It'd feel weird to have a permit to sell a boot,
Right.
But they get away with it, and some of those boots are cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, you go out there and you see it, and you're like, this is way cooler than the merch inside.
Yeah. It's almost like, is there a difference of an independent, like the flexibility of being an independent artist versus a signed artist? Does that put a cap on the flexibility of what you might be able to create?
Oh, I think 100%.
Yeah.
I think the larger you get, depending on your genre of music, you get a little more constrained on what you can do and get away with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. Crazy. So we're talking about merch, and we're here with Mike Martin, the founder of Anchorfish. Awesome name. They're over in Evanston. They do live events, live printing. They do merch for bands of all kinds here in the Chicagoland area. So if you're a band, business, organization that's looking to dial in some specific a giveaway, a gift, or making a production run on something, look them up. Do you guys have an Instagram handle?
Anchorfish _printing.
Cool. And again, just kind of and we're digging into how music is shaped, Mike's vertical, how love pulled him from 75-degree weather to below zero temperatures. And also, why do you think, Mike, is merch one of the most important revenue streams for bands today?
Because especially for a smaller independent band, most of the venues they're playing aren't going to tax that merch. As you get larger and you're playing stadiums or playing bigger venues, when they handle that merch, they want a cut of it.
Sure.
But for most bands that are not at that point yet, that's how they fill their gas tank.
Sure.
They're hoping you buy that shirt because that puts money directly into their pocket. It's not going to the label, and then the label comes up with the reason why they don't have to pay you a royalty. They see the money right away.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, and I agreed. I think that the live music scene is so expansive, and live shows are how artists can get up on stage and perform, which allows us that don't have any musical talent to go do something on a Wednesday night when we want to go out and get a little bit loose. So yeah, I think that it's helping put money in the pockets of those artists that are creating.
Yeah, and the artists that do focus on merch, they do really well. I think it's tough being an artist now, especially in the digital age with Spotify and Instagram. You know, it's flooded so much that being an artist and being in a band isn't just playing music now.
Right.
It's, I mean, you're having to care about visuals just as much, your merch just as much. Like, it's a full package now. You know, the days of just being like, yeah, we just play some shows here and there, like, and we grew organically that way. That's like hard.
Wow. Yeah, I think about that too, even just sitting here inside the studio and talking to you of like, hey, what are opportunities to increase that visibility, right? And you have a show that's 3 hours at a venue, so you have before and after the show to really kind of, you go from networking to getting on stage to getting off of stage after you're tired, and then you're talking to your fans and you're selling your merch. Like, that is huge. A process. And what if you don't have anybody selling your merch for you, right? Yeah. I mean, I see a lot of QR codes just like, hey, pay, take this. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah. So I think about, you know, social media, and the power of social media is, you know, how do you you know, provide, how do you step out of your comfort zone, and almost like you almost have to be selling all the time, like, right? Are. To be. Yeah. So. Yeah. Wow. The bands that are successful are always working. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, the other outside the bands and the live performances, you also do live activations. So how does your activations, when you go to an event, how does that really help dial in an event? Like, how does the live printing experience with what you bring to whether it's a fundraiser or a music festival, what's in your experience, how have you observed that, like, change of that activation? Like, are you asking, like, what's the value add for them to do that? Yeah. Well, yeah, all of it. I think the value add is like threefold, right? So you have the experience of it. You know, watching someone print a shirt is cool. You know, like, it's an interesting process. 99% of the world has never seen a shirt get made. Everybody owns a t-shirt. Nobody has ever seen one get made. And constantly, anytime we're at a thing, people walk up and they'll be like, oh, this is so cool to see. And I have to step back and I'm like, oh, well, I see this day in and day out, but, like, you're right, this is fucking cool. Like, I just made a t-shirt. That's rad. So yeah, there's the value add of that. There is the being able to customize it. People, again, it goes back to the uniqueness of, you know, bands putting out multiple merch items. It's being able to say, I want that shirt design on this shirt color. Instead of it just being a black shirt with white ink, now they can do a red shirt with white ink or a blue shirt with black ink. They can change it up, make it a little more unique, make it more, you know, tailored to them. Wow. And I think the third major value add, and this is something that happened recently, you know, we just had that cold snap where it was, you know, it was 0 degrees, and we were doing an event, and nobody showed up to it. Like, we literally were there for 4 hours, 5 hours, and we did maybe a dozen shirts, and he was stoked. And I was like, why are you, like, I felt... Who was stoked? He was stoked. The guy that put the guy who put on the event on. Yeah. I was like, I felt so awful. I felt like we didn't do our job, and he was stoked. He's like, dude, I would have ordered 2 weeks ago, I would have ordered 200 shirts for this. And he's like, I would have been sitting on 188 shirts that I never can do anything with again. So you're legitimately taking out all risk on the supply end by doing this. He would have rather paid me to stand there for 4 hours not selling a shirt than having his garage filled with 188 shirts that he can never do anything with. Wow. And he loved the fact that venues and organizations love the fact that they can go and they don't have to guess, like, oh, are there going to be more people who want mediums than larges? Like, how many should I order of each? We print what's ordered. Right. So, if you do a design and everybody there is a size large and we do
100 larges and we only do 12 mediums, you don't have to worry about ordering 50-50, and then you've missed out on 50% of your sales.
Wow. So you're bringing enough of each size to the event to take away that risk of wow, that's
and,
that's
and
really
it helps
smart.
especially with organization people who don't people in companies, organizations who don't do it often, and they don't have that data. Like Riot Fest, they know how many of each shirt they've sold for the past 10 years, so they know what works for them. But if someone's doing a one-off, they don't know, so it takes that guessing game out for them.
Man, that's awesome. So with that being said, I mean, you did talk a little bit about the private events, fundraisers there. Are those the best types of events, or is it festivals, or is it all of them?
It's all of them, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there is a bad event for it. I mean, we've done everything from bar mitzvahs to music festivals and tattoo conventions. It's all it makes sense in every situation. The only times it really doesn't make sense is if you're gonna have a mad rush for merch, because we're making it right there on the spot. It takes a little bit longer. If you're gonna have you don't want a line of 300 people at a festival waiting to get a shirt made. So in those cases, it makes sense to have a lot of your merch pre-printed. But even then, it's like, oh, well, maybe we'll do like a special limited. If you get here in the first 2 hours, you get a chance at this limited edition shirt. After 2 hours, no chance.
Wow. Wow. How does that break down for people? Is it you would just contract your services and say, hey, Mike, I got 100 people that are coming to this fundraiser. We're looking for 2 colors, a 2-color T-shirt, and we have 1 or 2 different, or maybe it's 1 logo. Can you guys do 2 logos? Can you do a hoodie? Can you do a hoodie, a shirt, and a hat? Or
so most of the stuff will be like flat apparel. So hats, beanies, those aren't great for a live activation. But most of standard flat apparel, shirts, hoodies, things like tote bags, those all work great. Don't do a tote bag. Those all work, and typically they'll come to us and they'll say, oh, we want you here from this time to this time. This is how many people we have, and then we'll let them know, like, okay, within that time frame that should work. Sometimes they're like, we want you here for an hour and we have 400 people showing up. That's not going to work.
Gotcha.
We can't output that quick. So then we'll work with the customer, tailor it to each event.
Sure.
And then we'll help them figure out designs, how many designs they want to do, how many different shirt colors. That way they can really kind of figure out a way to make it unique and make it a draw.
Gotcha. And that's how you kind of base your a proposal on whether the more things that you want us to add, that's how you.
Yeah.
You're a business, right?
Exactly,
so more designs. No problem. But there's more work involved in that.
I mean, we did an event where they needed 300 crew necks in 2 hours, and I'm like, we can do that. It's just going to cost you. I have to get more equipment, more people. And we did, and it was a successful event.
Wow, that's great, man. That's great. I think a lot about is we were talking through different designs, something just popped in my head of song lyrics, right? Of hey, if you're a band, or maybe you're an organization that has a slogan, a couple different slogans. How do you get those different slogans on there to make it unique? And anyway, I think that's fascinating. I think that paints a really clear picture for if someone wanted to host an event and they were looking for something really unique for a guest to remember the event by. It's give Mike and his team over at Anchorfish a call, right?
Who's not going to remember the shirt that they had printed for them, specifically for them, right in front of them?
Yeah, love that, man. Yeah, so again, Mike, thanks for coming by. It's great chatting with you. Again, if you're looking to book Anchorfish for a private event, Mike, what would be the best way for people to get a hold of you? Is that through your website or?
Come through the website, anchorfishprinting.com.
Okay.
Anchor like a boat, fish like in the water, printing.com.
Yeah, amazing. And looking forward to all the amazing things that you guys are going to do this year.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Of course.
See ya.
Thanks.